Inbounds it to Hamby, and so now that'll be that. So the Indiana Fever come into here after losing 3 of their last 4 on the
The Indiana Fever just pulled off their grittiest win of the season, but it almost didn't count. After leading by a single point in the final seconds, the referees gave the LA Sparks multiple extra chances that should never have happened. Caitlin Clark and Sydney Coulson called it out immediately, and fans are furious. So, why was this game so controversial, and how did the Fever overcome everything stacked against them to keep their playoff dreams alive? Let's break down the chaos in LA, and why this win might change the season's trajectory. What do you think of the WNBA refs? Let us know down in the comments below. Let's go.
One common theme in the WNBA is how poorly officiated these games can be. The lack of competence from the people wearing the striped suits. Every time I watch a WNBA game, a thought crosses my mind when it comes to the officials, and that thought is, how much money do you have on this game?
Why did the last few seconds of this Fever vs Sparks game feel like they lasted forever? Because for 3.9 seconds of game time, the referees managed to stretch out what felt like an eternity, and almost ripped away Indiana's biggest win of the year. The Fever were clinging to a 76-75 lead. The building was loud, and both teams knew this was more than just one game. With Indiana sitting in 6th and Los Angeles 2 spots behind them in the standings, one possession could swing the entire playoff picture. Inside Crypto.com Arena, every dribble and whistle mattered, and somehow the whistles never seemed to stop.
Man, I'm talking about right at the end of the game, when the nonsense was being called, and cheating was being speculated, right? Everybody was looking like how Caitlin Clark was looking by the end of that game last night with the Indiana Fever and the Los Angeles Sparks. Everybody was looking just like this, man. What in the world was going on?
It started with the Sparks looking for one last chance to steal it. But instead of letting play run its course, the ref stepped in over and over. The clock reset strangely. Contact was called on one end but ignored on the other. And even when the Fever forced turnovers or contested perfectly, Los Angeles kept getting fresh inbound opportunities. These weren't long sequences, but each stoppage stretched the game into something that started to feel suspiciously one-sided. Fans watching could only wonder, how many lifelines would the Sparks be given?
Let's take a look at this. All right, now it was 0.6 on the shot clock when this happened, okay? They had the ball, they were running around. I thought the game was over here, honestly. I thought the game was over, but they ended up calling the foul, saying, oh, the game is still going on. All right, whatever. They got the foul. Cool. So Kelsey Mitchell, she goes to the free throw line, right? And she missed both of them. Now, I think Kelsey Mitchell should have made both of them, all right? At least one of them. But she missed both of them, okay?
In that exhausting stretch, Aaliyah Boston came up with the defensive play of the night, snatching away the ball when the Sparks tried to force it inside. The Fever hurried down the floor, and Kelsey Mitchell earned a trip to the line. With only 0.4 seconds left, her first free throw rattled out. That should have sealed it, but instead of letting the final tick expire, the officials granted Los Angeles yet another inbound with 0.1 seconds still showing. That call alone set off alarms for Fever fans online. How can any team realistically run a play with less than a blink on the clock?
But man, there is no way. Right at the end of the game, you should be on top of it. You telling me you're not paying attention to when some hands touch that ball? Come on, man. And then to reward them with the timeout, like, fam, that's crazy work. Look, Caitlin Clark, like, what is going on here? She's like, no. Look, Caitlin ready to run the floor, fam. She's like, no. What is this, man? What is this nonsense?
This wasn't just paranoia either, because the league has had other questionable endings this season. Strange timing decisions, soft fouls in crunch time, and replay monitor chaos have frustrated fan bases across the WNBA. Indiana felt like the latest victim in a pattern that suggests either incompetence from officials or something worse. Social media lit up instantly, with clips of the 0.1 inbounds spreading across timelines and posts accusing the league of embarrassing itself yet again.
They put .1 on the shot. .1 on the shot clock, fam. What are we doing? What are we doing, man? I mean, this is nonsense. How do you even have time to do anything? How do you even have time?
This is nonsense. How do you even have time to do anything? How do you even have time? But the Fever refused to be undone. Despite repeated chances for Los Angeles, the Sparks couldn't capitalize, and Boston made sure of it by standing strong at the rim. The ball bounced away harmlessly, and the buzzer finally sounded for real. It was a test of patience, almost a trial to see how much nonsense Indiana could endure before finally being rewarded. And while the referees made sure chaos ruled, it was the players' resilience and grit that decided the night, especially with so many key names stuck on the sidelines.
Oh my goodness, man. They did everything they could to try to get them a win in this one, fam. It's ridiculous. It was flat out ridiculous.
How does a team, missing its biggest star and 3 other regular rotation players, still find a way to win a game that shifts the playoff race? That's exactly what Indiana pulled off against the Sparks. Caitlin Clark sat again, still not cleared to return. Sophie Cunningham was unavailable, which wiped out one of their most reliable scoring options. Sydney Coulson and Ori McDonald were sidelined too, both guards who bring energy and ball-handling depth. And then there was Lexi Hull stepping onto the floor sporting not 1 but 2 blackened eyes from a head-on collision in the previous game. Looking at the lineup sheet before tip-off, most figured Indiana didn't have enough firepower left.
Steph mentioned, whenever she sees you with the 2 black eyes, she smiles in a way because it just exemplifies your toughness. Do you feel tough in these kinds of situations with these 2 black eyes?
I mean, that's what people keep telling me. Every time she sees me, she smiles and then she says, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, you don't need to be sorry. This is what it is. And when I'm playing, I forget about it, and then I go and look at the mirror. I'm like, oh shit, they're still there. So yeah, I don't really think too much about it because I don't necessarily feel them all the time.
Yeah, and you're still able to see completely fine?
Yep.
All right.
Nothing's changed.
All right, perfect.
The easy assumption was that Los Angeles finally had a chance to bury Indiana's playoff hopes. Missing Clark's shooting and Cunningham's spacing left the Fever short-handed offensively, while Coulson and McDonald usually shield Mitchell from carrying the entire point guard load. Without them, it was supposed to be a mismatch, but sometimes basketball doesn't follow the script, and one veteran in particular decided to write her own story at the Sparks' expense.
Sims left open for 3. She got it. Offensive rebound. Sims the runner. Here's Howard. Shovels Sims right at the doorstep, and she gets it off the window. 3-on-3 the other way. Sims the take and finishes the lefty layup.
Odyssey Sims has been everywhere in her career, including wearing a Sparks jersey back in her younger years. On this night, though, she was a nightmare for them. She racked up 21 points, constantly finding lanes to the rim, and when the Fever needed composure late, Sims delivered the last 5 points herself. That closing stretch put the dagger in LA and gave Indiana the margin they needed to outlast both the opponent and the referees. In a season full of questions, Sims reminded everyone exactly what experience and poise look like under pressure.
Sparks started the game on a 7-0 run. Here's Mitchell. Right back to Boston. And unable to get that one, but follows her on. Cameron Brink and Ray Burrell going to be checking in next time there's a stoppage for LA. Here's Turner in traffic, and she gets it up off the window.
Beautiful pass from Boston.
7 on the shot clock. Mitchell turning the corner. Jump stop in the lane, loses the ball. Brink throws it right to Boston. Easy layup.
Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston once again looked like the franchise anchor she is. Her box score doesn't just tell you points and rebounds, it shows dominance on both sides. She controlled the paint defensively, forcing the Sparks into awkward looks and snatching boards even against double teams. And every time the Fever offense bogged down, Boston studded them with strong post play, screens, and second-chance possessions. Without her presence, that fourth-quarter chaos would likely have ended much differently.
Sims. They kick it out. Hole of three.
Big bucket from Lexi Hall.
And then there was Lexi Hull playing heavy minutes while still swollen and bruised. She embodied the team's toughness. You could see it in her dives for loose balls, her sprints back on defense, and her ability to space the floor when shots weren't falling. Indiana needed bodies tonight, and Hull showed the next woman up mentality that has become their signature. Kelsey Mitchell may not have been flawless, especially in crunch time, but her constant scoring pressure forced LA to adjust defensively all night. Even when her shots weren't dropping, she demanded attention, opening up space for Sims and Boston. That willingness to shoulder responsibility defined the team's leadership in the absence of Clark.